Welcome to the Daily Roundup from the Reproductive Rights News Network at r2n2.org. I'm Peter Shin. Our top news for Wednesday, July 27th. A Wyoming judge has blocked the state's abortion trigger law, a measure supposed to take effect after the Supreme Court's Dobbs ruling that would have banned nearly all abortions in the state. In deciding to block the law, Teton County District Court Judge Melissa Owens cited the prospect of the ban's irreparable harm on the plaintiffs. The case will now make its way through the Wyoming courts. The Massachusetts legislature has passed a bill protecting abortion rights and gender-affirming care. The measure now heads to the desk of GOP Governor Charlie Baker, who last year vetoed a similar bill over concerns about late-term abortion procedures. Baker is not committed to signing the most recent legislation, which passed by overwhelming margins in both chambers of the Massachusetts legislature. The Seattle City Council voted unanimously this week to bar the city's police force from arresting anyone on warrants issued in other states due to abortion bans or helping investigators from other states trying to enforce those bans. The measure also declares Seattle a sanctuary city for the medical procedure. Councilmember Kashama Sawant, who authored the ordinance, tells the Seattle Times, "Let anyone frightened by draconian anti-abortion laws come to Seattle without fear of prosecution." Speaking of which, Dr. Caitlin Bernard, the Indiana physician who helped a 10-year-old rape victim from Ohio terminate the child's pregnancy, tells NPR she and her family have faced threats and harassment from Indiana's Attorney General Todd Rokita. Bernard, who complied with an Indiana law requiring her to report her care for the 10-year-old, is nonetheless facing a legal and public relations barrage spearheaded by the state's top law enforcement official. Still, Bernard says she won't back down. In other news, a long-planned abortion clinic in an Oregon town bordering Idaho called Ontario is seeing little local support. The new Ontario clinic, just an hour drive from Boise, was planned before the Dobbs Supreme Court decision and is expected to serve many women from Idaho, where a total abortion ban is in the works. But the Oregon town that will host the new reproductive health provider has the backing of just one of its city council members, who fears his comments in favor will be used against him. Meanwhile, North Dakota's only abortion clinic is preparing for a cross-river move to Minnesota. The Red River Women's Clinic in Fargo has, for years, been the only abortion provider in North Dakota. But an anti-abortion law triggered by the Dobbs ruling means the state will join neighboring South Dakota as a women's reproductive health care desert. Fortunately, reproductive rights-friendly Minnesota is only a mile away on the other side of the Red River, and the clinic has raised nearly $1 million to help fund its relocation. On the national stage, lawmakers have introduced a bill that would impose term limits on Supreme Court justices. The measure, co-sponsored by 7 Democratic members of the House, would limit Supreme Court terms to 18 years and would allow the president to nominate new justices every 2 years. Like other bills already passed by the House to protect travel across state lines for reproductive health care and to ensure the right of American women to have an abortion, the newly introduced measure to address the Supreme Court's political radicalization has no chance of passage in the narrowly divided Senate, even if it does make it through the House. And here's some good news and bad news. A Twitter beef with Florida's 2nd District GOP Representative Matt Gaetz helped young reproductive rights activist Olivia Juliana raise more than $168,000 in support of bodily autonomy. The 19-year-old woman was singled out on Twitter by Gaetz, who is under investigation by the Department of Justice for trafficking a teenage girl for sex. The confrontation came after Gaetz, during a recent speech, ridiculed reproductive rights activists as, essentially, too fat and too ugly to get pregnant. And finally, the movie industry is still spending billions of dollars in anti-choice states. Despite the activism of some movie stars, directors, and executives, production houses aren't steering clear of filming in states that restrict reproductive rights. And entertainment lawyer Paul Swanson says that's unlikely to change without further pressure. As always, you can find out more about these stories and find links to important reproductive health information at our website, r2n2.org. For the Reproductive Rights News Network, I'm Peter Shin.